A young boy named David lived with his parents. His father, Mr. Johnson, was one of the wealthiest men in the community. He owned vast land, several businesses, and had investments in different parts of the community. Because of his wealth, David lived a comfortable life. However, he grew up spoiled and undisciplined. His father tried his best to teach him responsibility, but David was only interested in spending money, partying, and enjoying his life without any effort. David had everything a young boy could ever wish for: expensive clothes, the latest gadgets, and unlimited access to money. While other children in the neighborhood worked hard to support their family, David spent his days in luxury. He had no interest in education and often skipped school to spend time with his friend, who only stayed around him because of his money. His mother, Mrs. Johnson, was a loving woman who always prayed for his son, hoping he could change his ways. Mr. Johnson frequently warned David about his reckless behavior. "My son, money does not last forever if you do not know how to manage it," he would say. But David never listened. He believed his father's wealth would last a lifetime. He saw no need to work or learn the value of money. David grew older. His greed for wealth increased. He could not want to wait for his father to pass the business down to him. He wanted control now. He thought of having all the money for himself. His father still held the power and made all the financial decisions, which frustrated David. One day, a dangerous idea came into David's mind, and what David did was unbelievable. Follow and like for the next part. One day, a dangerous idea came to David's mind. If my father were gone, I would be in charge, he thought. At first, he tried to dismiss the idea, but his greed blinded him. He convinced himself that he deserved the wealth more than his father. He started searching for a way to get rid of Mr. Johnson. One evening, he added poison to his father's drink. Mr. Johnson, trusting his son, drank it without suspicion. Within minutes, he began to feel weak. He clutched his chest in pain as he collapsed on the floor. David stood still, watching his father struggling, but felt no remorse. It will be all mine now, he thought. His mother rushed into the room, screaming for help. But it was too late. Mr. Johnson had had his last breath. And just like that, David got all he wanted. With his father gone, David took over everything, spent recklessly, and turned his father's home into a place for wild parties. He traveled, bought luxurious car. It felt like he was living the dreams. His mother, heartbroken by the sudden death of her husband, withdrew from everyone. She knew something was not right, but she had no proof. David, on the other hand, had no time to care. He was too busy enjoying his newfound wealth. Money has a way of disappearing when it is not managed properly. David was not a businessman like his father. He did not invest or think about the future. He spent without limit, trusting that there could always be more. His so-called friend, who had once surrounded him, encouraged his reckless spending. They partied with him, borrowed money, and lived off his wealth. But the moment the money began to run out, they started disappearing. David, for the first time, started to panic. The business his father built were crumbling due to poor management. One by one, his assets were sold off. Now broke and alone, David finally realized his mistake. He had destroyed his father, the only man who had cared about him. He had wasted the wealth that took years to build. He had no friend, no family, nowhere to go. David confessed to his mother and begged for forgiveness. And for the rest of his days, he lived in sorrow, knowing that he had destroyed his own future with his hands. Click on my bio to subscribe to my YouTube channel.